And morning, Trainiacs. Here we are. We are 6 days past the last day of the race, past Half Ironman Atlantic City, and this is the extent of the exercise that I'm doing these days, and it feels great. Poor Petey's got some attitude problems, so he's got to wear the muzzle these days. So I'm not necessarily ready to really start exercising just yet, or training, but I am certainly chomping at the bit to look back at the previous season and use that to look forward to what's going to happen next season. Next season, we're going all in on Kona. It's good to be back. Great to be back. All right, so Trainiacs. On the other side of you, there are some very significant changes to the pain cave. Huge. I'm waiting until everything's done to reveal it, but there's a lot of big changes going on, not just to the pain cave, but to the best coffee mugs and hats in triathlon. We're moving up. We are moving on up. So typically after a race or even at the end of a season, one of the first things that I like to do is, Pete, you're antsy, come on, up, go. I like to do a little bit of journaling about what went well and what didn't. Doing this as close to a race or close to the end of the season as possible, it helps you reflect and while things are really still fresh in your head so that you don't forget them next year. A couple of years ago, there was something that I was doing, I think it was an injury prevention thing that I was doing, and I didn't write it down, got injured the same way the next year, and I was like, this seems really familiar. And what had happened is just over the off season, I got out of the habit of doing it, went about the next season, forgot about it, and re-injured that same thing. So, we're gonna write down some of the goods and the bads of 2019. Supervisors doing a great job. Okay, so we've got some of these things that are the good on one side, the bad on the other, written down. The bad is longer than the good. After a decent season, you wouldn't have thought that, would you? So I'm just gonna rattle off some of these ideas so you get a sense of where I'm going. We're talking injury, we're talking training, we're talking basically everything that went good or bad that comes to mind that you want to either make sure that you keep or make sure that you improve upon. Good. Foot maintenance routine, making sure that I'm doing spiky ball, tennis ball, the foot maintenance routine that I've shared on Instagram. That kept me fairly injury-free even with more running than I've ever done. Swimming less to be able to save time for bike, run, and strength training. Having a low cadence bike ride on Monday to build power, like we're talking 60 to 75 cadence. So on that Monday, a little bit smashed up from a hard weekend of training, but you don't need to take like an outright down rest day, I found. Can take a rest-ish day by doing low cadence cycling. The low carb approach obviously went really well. 270.3s and 1 Ironman was manageable. The bike went great, doing a lot of efforts right around the 6 weeks prior to a race, well above race effort. So that by the time you get to a race effort's like, whatever, this is easy. Lots and lots of low heart rate running so that I could increase my running volume while not beating myself up. I was the least injury prone when running with the Nike 4%. Can we do a cha-ching sound effect? straight water during a race as soon as my stomach started getting a little bit gurgly, changing the osmolality of my stomach so that it was just a little bit lighter by using straight water. That worked like a dream. And then longer VO2 max intervals. I've always been really big on like the 15 to 60 second HIIT intervals. Can still do a nice short HIIT workout, but just doing fewer, longer intervals in like the 4 to 6 minute range. That worked really well for getting that top end speed up there. Really snap. The bad. What I do with the bad is I write down bad thing and then think about how could I possibly fix that. So number one, I've got weight gain. I went from 152, 153 pounds in January to right now, probably about 162, even though I trained more. Last year, what I think worked really well was the fast mimicking diet, where I lost about 10 pounds over the course of a 5-day period where my training was really low and my calories were really low. And it kind of reset. I think my digestive system felt really good afterwards. So building in maybe a 5-day fast mimicking diet once per quarter, in addition to me potentially staying at a nice lower weight, it also has the forced rest because you can't really train a ton when you're doing that. So it gives me little breaks throughout the season, which might help with motivation, which I'll talk about later on. Didn't do any strength training. I need to do more. That squat rack back there might help. Fatigue during the Ironman training made real life really tough. I don't have an answer for that yet. Swim form got really ugly when I wasn't paying attention to it, so I need a coach on deck. I need to keep tempo trainer work year round so that my stroke rate doesn't get low and sloppy, and I need to figure out how to get my feet higher in the water. Early season running before races needs to have more time on pavement. When I got to Puerto Rico, my body was just smashed because I'd done all of my long runs on the treadmill, little bit of pavement work when I traveled, but basically my muscles were soft because I hadn't actually put in that time pounding on the pavement, which I needed. Hot weather races, Puerto Rico, really hot. Run on Atlantic City, really humid. And as soon as it got hot, my performance really dragged. So I'm thinking that actually in the podcast that we did with Andy Blow, the founder of Precision Hydration, he said that he encountered the same thing. And when he really upped his sodium intake to like 1,500 milligrams an hour, he started performing a lot better in hot weather races. And if I'm chasing Kona and trying to do it with a couple of halves that are in China, very, very hot, I need to figure that out. And then the big thing, motivation. Motivation. Since leaving the main training group that I swam with, that I did some of my long bikes with, that I did most of my long runs with 2 years ago, basically just to make sure that I could train in a healthy way, that I could still perform well, I knew that I was going to be giving up some of that group dynamic. Got through the first year, totally fine. The second year, little bit tougher. Towards the end of the year, I was finding it hard to continuously swim, bike, and run just on my own. So what I've got in mind is some of those athletes are able to train during the day. Some of those athletes are now stepping up to Ironman. And what we're looking at doing is creating a training group that is like an offshoot of that original training group where everyone's nice and fast, everyone's got a really good attitude, everyone does not have to get up at 4:30 in the morning, sacrificing sleep, which potentially could lead to me going back to being unhealthy as I was a couple years ago. So we're looking at having a swim group, having a swim coach on deck, and in here in the pain cave, when I get the swim spa, I could do my main race simulation bike during the week, during the day by myself here in Zwift in the time trial position, and then get in just a longer general aerobic low intensity ride with a fat biking group every weekend. And then I could go potentially join that long easy run group, just saying, you know what, I'll come with you. But anyone who wants to do lower intensity, lower heart rate training and just a lesser pace, then maybe we split into 2 groups. I don't know if they'd be cool with that. And then here's the thing that most people commonly associate an end of the season debrief on. Here's how you look at how do you get better specifically at swimming, biking, and running, and which one should you be focusing on? Because it's different for everyone. I've got a really easy way to do that in here. So what I like to do is go to a website that a friend of mine started. It's obstry.com, the obsessedtriathlete.com. And what you can do is go up here to find athletes, type in your name, and this is how you're able to see how you do relative to the field. So in here, what they've got is they've got your swim, your bike, your run split, your overall split, and a DPI measurement, which I'll explain what it is. And what you can do is this puts you relative to every other athlete in your age group and in the overall race, so that you don't have to look at, all right, what was my time? Because a time race for race isn't quite the same. Like, I can't compare my time in the swim at Half Ironman Puerto Rico to my swim time at Half Ironman Atlantic City, because Atlantic City was a long course and in a wetsuit, while Puerto Rico was a accurate course in a swim skin. But what you can do is you can click on the details up here and you can do this. And this is what I like to do. You click show details. And then what we've got is your time, your division position, your division rank, all of that. But the DPI is what I like to look at. So what we can see here from Half Ironman Atlantic City is that relative to the field, I was strongest in the bike. Higher number means that you're better. Second strongest in the run. And next strongest in the swim. And then you can take a look at other races. You can look at the details for Puerto Rico. And DPI relative to the field, I was strongest in the bike, and then the run and the swim, they went the other way. So what this is telling me now is that I have opportunity to improve in the swim and the run. And then I start thinking, all right, if I'm kind of similarly talented in the swim and the run and I can improve in either, where can I save more time? Well, if I improve in the swim, maybe I get 30 seconds, 60 seconds faster. But if I improve in the run, I can get 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes faster potentially. Because really, when you start planning out a season, it's easy to maintain what you're already strong in. And then it's possible to improve one of the other 2 sports, but there's pretty much always going to be one sport that doesn't work well. In my case, I think that my swim is acceptable. It's not like I'm losing a ton of time in the swim, but the potential to gain time is a lot less than the potential to gain time in the run. So based off of what this is telling me, I got to keep working on the run. I'm going to keep working with Paul McKinnon from The Balanced Runner. I'm going to keep running a lot. Going to keep working on that efficiency. Going to keep monitoring how I can improve that run. The run is the focus, and all the other 15 bad things that I told you about in there. So that's what's up for next year, Trainiacs. And I gotta make sure that I put this in the dishwasher so that NTK doesn't myrtleize me. If you aren't already subscribed and you want to follow along to the journey of trying to get to Kona, hit the subscribe button below. If you want to train alongside of us, go to teamtrainiac.com, give it a shot, and link is in the description below to all of our mugs, hats, Trainiac gear, all that jazz. All right, okay, later, Trainiacs.